The widely used method for determining the length of your cinch cord for a cinch of any particular length would be to take the length of the cinch that you want to make and multiply that by the number of strands. And that will work really well as long as you're using buckles like this. However, if you decide to use something like this, you're going to end up with a lot of extra cinch cord if you use the same method for measuring and determining the length of the cinch cord. Why is that? Because look at this. This stainless buckle is a good 5/8 of an inch shorter than the bronze buckle. And there's a buckle at each end, so that's going to equal over an inch 1.25 of extra cord for each strand. And a buckle like this is going to take a lot more than 17 strands. You can put 21, 23, even 25 strands on this buckle. So you would end up with 25 times 1.25. That's over 30 inches of extra cord that you would have if you use that length times cords formula. Let me put these buckles on the loom and I'll demonstrate further. Okay, with the Visalia buckles on the loom, I'm going to measure the distance between the buckles. I'm going to hook that over the buckle and measure to just inside the buckle. That is 26 inches. Okay, now I'm going to take this off. And I'll put the stainless buckles on, the standard D buckles. Measure from buckle to buckle. That is 27. So there's an inch difference between the two. So if you use the simplified measuring technique of number of strands times the inches of the cinch length, you're going to end up with 1 inch extra per strand on this other set of buckles. So we need to employ our high school algebra. Okay, here's what we're going to do. This is a 32-inch cinch, and normally we would just measure 32 times 17, right? That would get our length in inches, divide by 12. That gives our feet, round up to the nearest foot. Okay, now, let's say if we just measure between the buckles. That is what we need to cover with the mohair. That's 27. But we need extra for the knots and for the end tie-off. Well, remember our old formula was 32 times 17. But we're starting with 27. What do you need to add to that to get 32? Well, it's 5. Okay, so let's do this. We'll put these back on, and again measure between the buckles. And that is 26. Actually, it's 25 3/4. So let's add 5 to that. 25 3/4 plus 5 is 30 3/4. Multiply that by the number of strands, and we'll get the number of inches. Divide that by 12, and that's the length we want to cut for our cord. So what is the formula? We want to know X, the length of our cinch cord. Well, A is the distance between the buckles, 25 3/4. Add 5 to that, A plus 5, multiply by the number of strands. Number of strands is B. We have our formula, and divide that by 12 to get feet. So X equals A plus 5 with parentheses around it times B, the number of strands, divided by 12. There you go. Didn't think that would come in handy all these many years later, did you? Good old high school algebra.